Hello, welcome to episode number 316 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be SmackDown for week 2 of December 2022. And yeah, we're continuing on the build to High Voltage. Next week will obviously be the Christmas show, but that will also serve as the go-home show for the pay-per-view. And last week we got the big announcement of the main event. It'll be Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns in a dog collar match. And we also learned that Asuka will earn the shot at Kairi Sane for the SmackDown Women's Championship at the premium live event. Without any further ado, let's jump straight into the show. Kairi comes to the ring. She opens up with the SmackDown Women's Champion in the ring, and she's like, "Ladies and gentlemen," but she's immediately interrupted by the music of Damage Control, and Bayley's like, "Really, Kairi, again, this? Okay, like, I don't get it. Like, obviously, you as the SmackDown Women's Champion, you know, you're supposed to be the greatest women's wrestler on this brand, but yet it feels like you're ducking me, and that's because you know that I'm gonna beat you for this championship. Because why? Last week there was no reason why Asuka and Shotzi and Utami were given that opportunity over me. And then Kairi's like, well, maybe because you lost the Survivor Series. Bayley goes, ha ha ha, funny. Okay, well, Pierce clearly didn't heed our warning, and looks like we had to cause more damage around here to make that bitter memory of Survivor Series all but a distant memory. As if you're going to make it to High Voltage, Kairi, because I see 3 of us and only 1 of you. So, get 'em, girls. Dakota and Cora start into the ring. Asuka comes out. She fights off Cora and Dakota and mists Dakota in the face or something. But obviously Bayley takes Asuka down and Kairi is still down. And then Mackie also runs out and she's like, "Oh, motherfucker." Tries to hit Bayley on the head with a microphone. She's like, "Well, where'd this rogue bitch come from?" And then she retreats out of the ring and Dakota's like still covering the mist out of her eyes. Cora backs up with her title and Bayley sort of runs away as well. And then Asuka takes a microphone and she starts shouting in Japanese. She's like, "I want you tonight," to Bayley. And Bayley's like, you're on, bitch. Like, how dare you spit in Dakota's face like that? So it will be Asuka and Bayley in the main event tonight. We then cut to the back. Well, it doesn't. We get an ad, and then we come back, and then Kayla's in Gorilla. She goes, "My guests at this time, Santos Escobar, Cameron Grimes, and LA Knight." She goes, "LA Knight, guys, tonight you're taking part in the opposition of the Revolution in their SmackDown debut. What are your thoughts heading into the..." And LA Knight sort of cuts her off and takes the mic. He goes, "Kayla Braxton, let me talk to you. So here's the deal. You are going to ask me, a megastar like LA Knight, you're going to ask Santos Escobar, and you're going to ask Cameron Grimes what they feel about being on the SmackDown debut match for 3 young kids. They got a lot of things to learn around here, Kayla, and that's that you don't mess with guys like us, okay? They may have come to the aid of Seth Rollins in the War Games and Survivor Series, but nah, this is a whole different game. Because whose game is this? It's Cameron Grimes' game, it's Santos Escobar's game, it's LA Knight's game. And there's one game that you don't want to play unless you're an expert, and that's LA Knight's game. And Kayla Braxton, I am an expert, and these guys are just novices. They got a long career ahead of them, but they're going to learn one lesson from one wise old vet to 3 young kids. The number 1 lesson you don't do is you don't step in LA Knight's business, making your name at his expense. Now, hit that LA jam, dummy, and watch how it worked. Yeah." And then LA Knight goes out for the 6-man tag team match, which opens the show. It's going to be Buster, Nebo, and Rufus against Escobar, Grimes, and LA Knight in their SmackDown debut. An AE. I get the chance to individually see what they're being rated at now, I guess. But it is Buster, Nebo, and Rufus Hammer, and of course you win. They beat LA Knight, Cameron Grimes, and Escobar. Then Buster pins Grimes with a Buster Keaton. 72 for Santos Escobar, 80 for Grimes, 83 for LA Knight, 53 for Rufus, 56 for Nebo, and a 70 for Buster. So yeah, that's why they got the win. Obviously, Buster is like the most over of the three, and does the main talking. So yeah, big win for the Revolution, who still have not got a proper stable picture. Maybe I'll sort that out soon, but for now they just look like that. And I guess Santos still has his OC picture. We then cut to the back. Hams is like packing. I imagine she's like comically dressed in like combat gear or some shit. And she's packing like stuff for in her bag. Because it's finally time she's going to go back to that restaurant and find Friend. It's going to take her a week to do so, funnily enough. But just final prep from Fallon Otis. I go, have you got everything? And she goes, yes, I got Goku. And then she lifts up the stuffed pig and it's wearing matching combat gear. She goes, I got food. And then Fallon goes, well, I don't see any food in here. And she's like, oh right, I ate it all already. I need more food. And Fallon goes, yeah, we'll deal with that soon. But, okay, make sure, you keep safe, because, Morgan sort of got attacked. So, and Hams goes, I will, thank you, bye. And then Otis is like, do you really think she'll be okay? And Fallon's like, not sure, but there's not really much we can do. And then Alba Fire and Ilja Dragunov walk in. And he's like, well, Fallon, what you doing, sending a little lammy to slaughter? And she's like, what's it to you? So I just think it's funny how you're preaching around here, pretending to be this so sweet, nice girl, but you've just sent poor Hams in there to, get wounded all by herself, and you've got no remorse at all, as long as you and your little fat boyfriend here are all cushy. She goes, what do you mean, fat boyfriend? Me and Otis aren't a thing. And Otis is like, yeah, that's right. And Dragunov's like, yeah, you stepped to me and the Shah and the Regal Coalition. How about mixed tag team match tonight or whatever? And then that's made. Otis and Fallon against Alba Fire and Ilja Dragunov later on tonight. We then see Bayley, Cora, and Dakota. Like, I imagine Bayley and Dakota, like, have got, like, a wet towel or whatever, trying to, like, get the mist down. She's like, oh my god, I can still feel it in there. It still kind of stings. Bayley goes, we're getting it. When Pierce walks up to them. And Bayley's like, great. What could this possibly be? I'm sure this isn't good news. Pierce's like, it actually kind of is. Well, depending on, how things go tonight. So, there's no mistake about it, you've made a lot of enemies recently. Including, J-Flo, the women's tag team champions. So, here is the programming schedule for your week, your next upcoming 9 days. First of all, tonight, Cora Jade, you will defend your Women's Liberty Championship against a member of J-Flo of their choice. And Cora goes, well, I mean, that doesn't seem fair. And she goes, well, you're going to like this even less because Maki, of course, is, the one coming for revenge on you. So, if you can get past whichever JFL member it is tonight, then, at High Voltage, you'll defend the Women's Liberty Championship against Maki. And Bayley goes, this seems like bullshit. Like, what's going on? She goes, I'll get to you. I'll get to your reward soon. Okay. Bayley, you versus Asuka set for tonight's main event. You win that, I'll make the SmackDown Women's Championship match at High Voltage a triple threat. And Bayley goes, great, I'm gonna win. Of course I'm gonna win, That's all I do. And then also, next week, just 2 days before High Voltage on the Christmas special episode of Raw, 2 members of your team, to be determined by whoever decides, will face J-Flo for the Women's Tag Team Championships. They've got it all? And Bayley goes, I've got it all, Pierce. So what you're saying is, come the end of High Voltage, I'ma have 2 titles? You gotta call me Bayley Dostraps. And Cora's like, well, apparently I have a match, so I'd better go. Make sure you, fix up Dakota's eyes. And then Cora walks off. And the Bayley goes, I should probably get ready for my match, too. And she walks off, and Dakota just stands there with a wet towel in her hand, scrubbing at her face, trying to get the mist off, going, no, guys. Oh, 80 for Top Dollar versus Bobby Roode? Okay. Bobby Roode beats Top Dollar in 9:36 with a glorious DDT. 73 for Bobby Roode, 54 for Top Dollar. And another win for the Paragon. I think every single member of the Paragon has got a win since they came back, because the Fritzes beat Ashanti and Top Dollar. Adam Cole beat Matt Riddle last week, and now Bobby Roode's beating Top Dollar. And then the assault on Top Dollar and Ashanti continues after the match. Outstorms Matt Riddle, and his interference isn't enough. And then finally, Hero Swerve is here to make the save. And he got a chair, and he takes it to the Paragon. He sends them reeling through the crowd. He checks on Ashanti and Top Dollar. And Riddle just sort of stands in the corner looking goofy with a big shit-eating grin on his face. And then him and Swerve finally lock eyes. And he's like, sticking his thumbs up like, yeah, bro, we good, bro, we good. And then Swerve just shakes his head and leaves with the Hero members. And Riddle, he's still, holding his thumbs up, grinning his ass off. Okay, fair enough. We then cut to the barbershop. Mello's in the chair and he goes, what you thinking, Tricky? Should I rock with the AJ Styles? He goes, oh no, Mello. Nobody could pull off that soccer mom haircut. Not even you. Certainly not a 40-year-old washed up has-been like AJ Styles. What's he thinking? Step on a Tricky Willie making his big return at the expense of Tricky Willie. They know he's got the gift of the gab and the gift of the jab. And that's about it. And he goes, yes, okay, Tricky, because at High Voltage this time, me and AJ Styles one-on-one, match back in my day, I was like, that's a dream match of mine. But it's not anymore, because I surpassed everything that AJ ever is. Because I'm the top guy around here now. And all AJ Styles is but a number. Another number for me to check off the hit list of all these world heavyweight champions of the past that I'm better than. Because I'm better than them and I'm better than AJ Styles too, Trick. If you tell him, Mello, that's about it. So, yeah, a chance for Mello to make fun of his hair, AJ Styles' soccer mom haircut, and the announcement of Carmelo Hayes versus AJ Styles for the High Voltage pay-per-view in 9 days' time. Should be a fun one. We then cut to the ring, and our French Connection are there. I'm like, bonjour. Je m'appelle David Marteau. Elle s'appelle Violet Marteau. Et tout s'appelle Idriss Inoue et Malik Blade. In what has been El Meilleur Week for Français in the World Cup final. But they will not be the first French Connection to become les champions. Because the 3-time champion will just be the first. But Idriss Inoue and Malik Blade will not be slowed down after their defeat last week. Will be the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. And will get le warm-up match right now. Anybody in the back who wants to face La French Connection, make yourself known.
Burn it down!
Out comes Seth Rollins and Solo Sikoa. And Solo just sort of gets in their face. And Seth's like, ha, on the outside. And then the bell rings. And in a 68, a quick squash, Solo basically... Seth doesn't really tag in at all. It's just all Solo just beating the two of them up. Hitting the spinning Solo on Malik to score the 1-2-3. Because fuck France, basically. 43 for Malik Blade. Idriss Inoue gets a 45, 90 for Seth, and a 56 for Solo Sikoa. Then after the match, Seth grabs the mic, he goes, ha. Now that's out of the way, it's time to deal with important business around here. Last week, our spectacular former WWE champion, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, he came out in, he had a special gift. He had a special gift for you, he had a special gift for Seth freaking Rollins, and that gift was a High Voltage pay-per-view. 1 year ago, I made my return to stop this man. Oh, looking at me now, I know damn well I did just that. But this year, it's going to be a little bit different. You see me and the big dog. The big dog. We're going to be tied together with one of those little big dog collars. And I don't know if Roman thinks that this is getting into my head, but there's only one way this ends, Reigns, and that's not with you winning. It's how every single encounter between us goes. With you on the mat, this time bloodied and beaten, tied to Seth friggin' Rollins as he wails you with chain shot after chain shot after chain shot. You're gonna look like a tribal chief. You're gonna look like a bitch. And then I stand victorious as it's announced, and still WWE Champion, and still the man, the guy, the head of the table. Out comes Bryan. We haven't seen Daniel Bryan since, I want to say, the second episode after SummerSlam, when Seth was doing his like rogue fucking. He was attacking people because he beat up Ciampa and Gargano, and then after we beat up Daniel Bryan, and we haven't seen Bryan since then. And then Bryan just sort of gets in the ring. He gets in Seth's face, and Seth just laughs at Bryan and walks off to the back with Solo. But Bryan, of course, just stares at him as he leaves. Doesn't say anything. Just a tense stare down. We then, I imagine, come to a break. And then we cut back to what is a busy segment. Bryan's walking through the hallway and Kayla catches up to him and goes, "Bryan, welcome back to SmackDown, where have you been?" And he goes, "Kayla, you know where I've been. Okay, that son of a bitch, Seth Rollins, tried to tech me out. I end my career yet again. But little does he know, everybody in this WWE universe knows that I don't stay down. And now Seth Rollins is here and he's the WWE Champion. All the great power to him. But he's got a massive target on his back, not just from the challengers for his title, not just from Roman Reigns, but from people like me who want vengeance." That's when the Bloodline walk into frame. Not Roman, just the Usos and Jacob Fatu. Like, "Hey, Us, welcome back. I see you got your issue with Seth. That's all well and good. An enemy of my enemy is my friend. So anything you're gonna need, we got your back, Us. Except one little thing we do need from you, and that's to leave Seth Rollins alone, leave Solo alone, Us. 'Cause they're ours. This is our fight to win, not yours. Now I know you want to get revenge on Seth for taking you out for so long, but you were just collateral damage and part of our war. So we're the ones that need to finish it. Us, you got it? You dig?" And Bryan goes, "Well, I've not wrestled in like 3 months, and I feel like I would be well equipped to take down Seth Rollins. So if one of you three wants to face me next week, let's do it. I'll meet you in the ring." And then Jimmy sort of gets in his face and he goes, "Wrestle you next week, you say, huh? Member of the Bloodline?" And then Jacob Fatu puts his hand in front of Jimmy, and so he just walks up to Bryan, and he goes, "I'll see you then." As they walk off, Bryan sort of goes his own direction, and then they bump into the Revolution, celebrating their win. And Buster goes, "You seem to think that, this was all Seth Rollins' fight. But War Games was our night. And whether it be Cody or you three, we're not going to forget what you did to us. So be all cushy on your head of the table and your bloodline. Because we're still coming to tear it down." And then they walk off. So kind of a busy segment. 70. Cora versus Mizuki for the Liberty title. Is this really Cora's first defense of the belt? Okay, fair enough. I mean, she's making a second, next week, so it's fine. She beats Mizuki 7-23 with a DDT to make defense number 1 of the Liberty title. 66 for Cora, 63 for Mizuki. And yeah, she will now confirmed be going on to face Mackie for the Liberty title at High Voltage in 9 days. 3 episodes time. We then cut to Kayla in the back of AJ Styles. And she goes, what's your thoughts on, the announcement, Carmelo Hayes versus AJ Styles at High Voltage? He goes, Kayla, I saw that little hangout in that little barber shop. I don't know if you could tell, Kayla, I'm probably overdue a trip over there myself, so I respect Melo and Trick for actually getting themselves touched up. But there's one thing they said that bothered me. And it's not even that they're calling me old and a has-been and washed up. I've been hearing that for years now. It's that guy Trick, he seemed to think that the only reason I beat him when I made my return was because he wasn't expecting anything. Or Tricky, you're a good kid, listen up. So I'm going to give you some advice. You got 7 days notice. Because next week, I'll beat you again. And he walks off. We then get The Miz and Grayson Waller in the ring. And he's like, hold the phone. This show does not continue until the camera is on me. Because this is an impromptu episode of the most must-see WWE talk show in history. Welcome to Miz TV. Now my guest of the tonight is actually nobody. Because here in Texas, I don't think you all deserve to see my guest. There is room for so many matches and so many people on the show. But again, we get the short end of the stick. What is that for, Pierce? Huh? Why? Why do you insist on putting your biggest stars down? I'm an A-list movie star. Grayson Waller is a social media megastar. But yet we gotta sit back and watch French guys and watch pop groups. No more. So, as we are here in good old Texas, why doesn't anybody back there who considers themselves a bigger Texas hero than me come out here so I can whoop that ass? Now comes Stone Cold. And he gets in the ring. And he's got the mic. And he goes, I was just in the area, Miz, and I hear that you're looking for badass some bitch from Texas. What? I said, what? You're looking for a badass some bitch from Texas. Well, let me tell you something. Old Stone Cold here, he's always open to whoop a cannibal pass on anybody's ass, Miz, especially insufferable little douchebags like yourself. What? And Miz goes, here we go. Here we go, Steve, okay. Another time for you to steal the limelight. And then Grayson Waller takes the mic and he goes, listen here, lad. Don't know what you think you're doing out here, but yesterday's news, innit? This is my time. This is Miz's time. This is our camera. Nobody wants you out here, Austin. You haven't wrestled in 20 years now. People here can't even remember your name. I can barely remember your name. I can remember the name Grayson Waller. Because I'm a damn star. You're just a fragile old man. And Stone Cold sort of just takes that in and he goes, well, Grayson Waller, you said your name was. What? You see, kid, you got a lot of the tools to make it here in WWE. But there's one thing that I need to teach you. Come in. He draws Grayson Waller getting closer. And then he's like, what you doing, lad? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to fall for this. I know exactly what you're trying to do. You're going to give me a stunner. Now, that's what you got to do once you get out of here. I'll do the stunner better than you anyway, lad. You're so finished. You don't even do a dive from the outside into the ring. He goes, well, you do the stunner better than me, you say what? Well, I say this. It's time for old Stone Cold here in Texas to open up a cannibal pass. If you want to see me give this kid a Stone Cold Stunner, give me a hell yeah. And obviously he gets a hell yeah. And he's like, of course, they're eating out of the palm of your hand, Steve, because they're just as unwashed as you. And then bang, Stunner Grayson Waller gets stunned. The Miz, I imagine, just rolls out of the ring and runs to the back. And then Stone Cold celebrates with some beers. Literally a segment I threw together at the last minute because I realised it was episode number 316. I was like, hey, I need Stone Cold on 316 so he can stun Grayson Waller. That's the segment. It's not leading to anything. It literally just exists because I want to pop myself and book Stone Cold on episode 316. Then cut to Big E, who's not feeling the power of positivity lately. He's got a stern, straight face. And Kofi and Big E, or Kofi and Woods, are like the other side of him having fun and like doing stupid shit, like playing the game or whatever. And then they sort of goes, it's your turn. And he goes to hand the mic, hand the controller to E. And E just looks at him and he goes, still this? Look, I know why you're mad. Like, we're all mad, you know. Our trip to SmackDown hasn't worked out so well so far because of that Carmelo Hayes kid. And I know you thought you were the World Heavyweight Champion like 3 months ago, E. But you're going to get it back. You can't just sit there and weep and moan about it. Look, how about this, E? I've just spoke to Pierce, and they've given the New Day a spot in the 2022 Royal Rumble match. You know, the thing you won earlier on this year. And me and Kofi decided that since you were so desperate to get that World Heavyweight Championship back, you could enter again this year. And he's like, I appreciate it, boys, but... And I will try not to let you down, but... Something's not feeling right here. You know, I'm trying to be the Big E that y'all know and love, but... After I lost my World Heavyweight Championship, that completed me. And... Maybe it's time to take a step back and, you know, reassess things. And then that's when the smoke comes in through the door. And then they open the door, and the House of Black jump the New Day and leave them laying in their locker room. But yes, a big segment there because we now have our second confirmed participant into the 2023 Royal Rumble. Joining the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes will be 2022's Royal Rumble winner Big E, looking to get his World Heavyweight Championship back. But right now he's not looking so good because the House of Black have jumped him. I'll definitely click next segment. 85 rated tag team match. DIY retain the titles. They beat the Limit Breakers. I specifically made sure that Ricochet and Bronson Reed are ringside here because I wanted a kerfuffleous finish. Not like cheap, but some sort of distraction from Bronson Reed and Ricochet that led to Braun O'Keefe getting pinned by DIY to make defense number 4 of the belts. 97 for Johnny Gargano, 74 for Tommaso Ciampa, 81 for Braun Breaker, and then 85 for Keith Lee. Which obviously is not going to make Braun Breaker and Keith Lee happy. Braun, you know, he's the airhead here. He's the one who's proper pissed off. He's getting in their face going, hey, what you doing out there? What you costing us this match for? And Bronson Reed's like, oh, we didn't cost you anything. We just wanted, you know, because we're like coming up in for a tag team title ourselves. We wanted to check on who's going to be the champions. And Keith Lee gets out of the like, that's a load of old malarkey. You know exactly what you're doing by being out here. That is to, you know, cost us this opportunity to become the tag team champions. And they're like, oh, okay, big man with the big words. Why'd you come out here and say this to our face, huh? But we're open for a fight. And despite me being, you know, smaller than everybody else here, I've still got what it takes to, you know, come out on top because we want those tag team titles. We deserve those tag team titles. We need those tag team titles. Then Adam Pearce was like, boys. This is enough. Look, Braun Breaker and Keith Lee, you may have lost tonight, but you make a lot of great points. There is room for yet another opportunity for you to become the tag team champions because of the interference of Ricochet and Bronson Reed, the Cyclone. But Ricochet and Bronson Reed, they do also deserve an opportunity to become the tag team champions. So here's what we're going to do. At High Voltage, DIY will defend the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against Ricochet and Bronson Reed, the Cyclone, and the Limit Breakers in a triple threat ladder tag team match. Big announcement there. We've got what could possibly be the match of the night. Johnny Gargano, Ciampa, defending their SmackDown tag titles against both the Limit Breakers and the Cyclone at High Voltage. We then see Hit Row backstage, thinking Swerve. It's like, obviously I'm gonna help my crew here, my gang. And yeah, it's so cool, those Paragon boys, they've really made an enemy out of us since they got here. And then Matt Riddle walks up and he goes, "Hey bro, that was like so totally rad, dude. Like, I know we could have had him, like me and my bros, Top Dollar and Ashanti, we could have had him, but we do appreciate you finally coming around, bro." And so after sort of sneers at him, he's like, what do you want? I didn't do this for you. Hit Row their ass. We're a brotherhood. When I see my brother getting attacked, I'm gonna do something about it. Now, you may be an annoying, obnoxious, unfunny, just genuine roach of a human being, but your heart's in the right place, and we find ourselves outnumbered, man to man. So, as you heard from the Bloodline earlier on tonight, the enemy of the enemy is my friend. How about, for one night only, we get Hit Bro in action at High Voltage against the Paragon? It's like, oh my god, bro, go, that's so good. I'm gonna get like one of those t-shirts made, like one of those tour t-shirts. Gonna say I was there on the back. It's gonna have the date of the pay-per-view, and it's gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be Hit Bro. Make sure you all wear matching t-shirts with me, bro, because it's gonna be so awesome. I'm finally gonna be part of the gang. And then Riddle scoots off, and Top Dollar goes, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And he goes, we don't really have any other choice." So, finally, Hit Bro are going to be teaming as a whole group to take on the Paragons, Adam Cole, Bobby Roode, and the Fritz brothers in an 8-man tag at High Voltage. 76. Oh, Ilja and Alba have good chemistry teaming together. Okay, whatever. That's a thing, I guess. Just a quick match to fill time here. Ilja and Alba beat Fallon and Otis. Alba Fire beats Fallon Henley with the reverse code red. 78 for Ilja Dragunov, 73 for Alba Fire, 71 for Otis, and a 38 for Fallon Henley. Yeah, we're all set up because Hound is off looking to Morgan, and we'll catch up on her escapades next week. We then get Pat McAfee, and he's hosting a sit-down interview between Cesaro and not Bron Breakker and Warden ahead of their United States Championship clash at the pay-per-view. And he goes, "I know these two promised me there'll be no physical altercation here, but at the moment that doesn't really feel like a threat or a concern at the moment, because these two might have been rather respectful of each other heading into this match at High Voltage, this huge United States Championship match." And he goes, "That's because, McAfee, I'm nothing if not a respectful challenger. You see, I respect the sport, and more importantly, I respect our United States champion. I know it's typical to see guys like this and be a guy like me and think that he doesn't deserve to be where he's at. All these years I've been told that I deserved better. That Cesaro is being held back, push Cesaro, the Cesaro section, brass rings, all that crap. But all I needed to do was show my strength, and that's all Warden's done since he got here. And it led him to the not to the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, the United States Champion. And that led him to the United States Championship. My very first title in WWE, of course, 10 years ago, if you remember. Because I look at Warden and I don't see someone too dissimilar to myself. Of course, when it comes to wrestling on the mat, I could tie him up in a knot and take that championship, but it's the fight that he's going to bring that makes me so excited for this pay-per-view and this match. Because it's sink or swim time, not just for me, but for you too. And Warden goes, "There's some tough words, tough love. And obviously I respect the hell out of you and everything you've done in your career here. 20 years and counting outside of the WWE. But you've never faced anyone like me. Because there is nobody like me. And you may do that swing, and you rotate it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 30 times. so many times, I'ma powerbomb your ass on the canvas at high voltage to keep my United States title. And then he stands up, and Cesaro stands up and buttons up his shirt or whatever and goes, I look forward to it. And the two shake hands again. And Pat McAfee's in the middle, like making some over-the-top facial expression, like pretending to be shocked at the handshake. Like, oh my god. And then we cut back to the actual show with a rundown of next week's episode of SmackDown, which has a couple of matches announced for it already. The first being, he has 7 days to prepare this time. It won't be a surprise like AJ Styles' return was, but AJ Styles and Trick Williams one-on-one in singles action. We also saw tonight Cora Jade retain the Liberty Championship against Mizuki of J-Flow, but next week it's the J-Flow's turn to do the same thing when they defend the Women's Tag Team Championships against any 2 members of Damage Control, that being Bayley, Dakota, or Cora Jade. And finally, after his shocking return tonight, Daniel Bryan will be in action next week when he takes on Jacob Fatu of the Bloodline. But that's next week's Christmas special episode of SmackDown. 2 days later after that we have High Voltage, the 3rd annual High Voltage show. And we've got a lot of stacked new matches for that show. Announced, it will be AJ Styles and Carmelo Hayes one-on-one in singles competition, as Carmelo Hayes looks to continue his quest to defeat as many former world champions as he can. We then have Cora Jade set to defend the Women's Liberty Championship in one-on-one action against Maki, the lead singer of J-Flow. And also, a huge triple threat tag team ladder match when DIY defend the SmackDown tag team titles against both the Limit Breakers and the Cyclone, and the titles will be 20 feet high above the ring, and who will be the first team to pull it down. And then finally announced tonight, we have, they're finally official, after so much time, Hit Bro, Swerve Scott, Top Dollar Ashanti, and Matt Riddle come together to take on the Paragons, Adam Cole, Bobby Roode, David Fritz, and Kevin Fritz in 8-man tag team action. AEW main event I will be fine with. Doesn't have to be the best main event in the world. Just had to get the job done. But Asuka would try and spit in the mist in Bayley's face. Bayley would duck, the referee would get fucking pelted with the mist, which allowed, Bayley to call upon her friends. Cora and Dakota run out, Dakota fresh off getting the mist off her face, but she is still pissed off at Asuka. Delivers a nasty boot in the corner. Completely rocks Asuka. Cora Jade hits her with the little kendo stick thing she carries around, bat, whatever it is. And then finally the Rose Plant. 1, 2, 3. We now have a triple threat match at High Voltage. Kyrie will defend against both Bayley and Asuka. And then Bayley's going to continue the assault after the match when she takes the attack of Asuka. She gets the chair, starts wailing on Asuka until Kyrie gets up from ringside, because I imagine she's there watching. Storms into the ring, tries to fight him off, but again she is also outnumbered. Rose Plant takes down Bayley, and then Cora picks the SmackDown Women's title up and puts it over Bayley's shoulder, and then Bayley sort of looks at it and smiles, and then looks at her blank other shoulder, and she's like, next week this one's coming, and then 2 days later this one. 2 titles. Bayley dust straps time, baby. Ha ha ha. She does her laugh to end the show. 87 rated show. Pretty good. And a lot of things progressed here. I'm really happy with how the show was, including the random Stone Cold segment, which was literally booked in right after I recorded the intro, and I realised, I could put Stone Cold on the show. That would be fun. But yes, now though, it's time for, I believe, the final semi-final of the Trios Championship Tournament. The winning team will face Timothy Thatcher, Drew Gulak, and Oney Lorcan in the finals. Will it be Undisputed's Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish, or will it be MSK? Find out. Oh, we're also going to find out the new client of Cynthia Crespo. Find out on the other side. So, fun fact, there's actually only 3 matches on Velocity this week, because things are actually being done. But we kick off with Cynthia Crespo, Graham Elliott, Lindsay Dorado coming to the ring. And she's like, "Hola. As we heard on Monday Night Raw, tonight is a big night for Death from Above. 'Cause it's time for us to unveil our third man to combat Legado de la Sombra. Andrade's got Cruz and Joaquin, and that's Zelina in her corner. But my boys have me. And ladies and gentlemen, please rise for one of the greatest high-flying luchadors in the world, the former NXT champion, Pistolero." And out comes a man in a mask with a bandana around his face and a cowboy hat on. It's renamed Bandito. His name is Pistolero, which I think is like gunslinger or something. Because I was trying so hard to think of a name for him. I didn't want to just go like El Bandit or like anything like that. I put in Outlaw. I didn't like how it sounded. I put in a couple of other words. Didn't like how it sounded. And then I sort of just went on Pistolero sounded okay. And it's fun because it's Death from Above and he's like shooting and it has air in it because he's a high flying gunslinger. Yeah, whatever. It's not that deep of a name. You'll get used to it. But his opening match is with Ikemen Jiro. He just beats him in 10:57 with the Revolution Fly. He gets an 83 on his goddamn debut. And Jiro gets a 34. And with that win, well, and just his announcement, we now know on Christmas episode of Raw, a special Christmas treat for you will be Pistolero, Bandito, versus Andrade in what is sure to be a banger match. we then cut to the locker room of the Lady Killers, and it's Zachary Ben-Shahar. He's putting some of that spray in his mouth, you know, all the weaselly like creepy guys that are trying to flirt with women put in. And Gregor walks up and so does Sid, and they're like, "What's the big occasion?" He goes, "Oh, you did not hear, Gregory. Not a big interview with that lassie, that gorgeous sexy Kayla, and, you know, got a match tonight against..." Who the fuck is it against? Somebody. That's not important. All that matters is, you know, getting to sniff Kayla and Cena again and making that lasting impression. Then the door knocks, and she goes, "Oh, that must be my interview now." And he opens the door, instead of being greeted by Kayla, he's greeted by Funaki. He goes, "What do you want?" And he goes, "I'm here for interview." And he goes, You're here for the interview? Where's Kayla?" He goes, "Oh, Kayla not interview on Velocity anymore because she said something annoyed her last week. Anyway, I'm now the number one interviewer here on Velocity." She goes, No, I don't want you. I want Kayla." And he goes, "Too bad." He goes, "Well, let me get this straight. You're going to be the interviewer on Velocity from now on." And he's, "Indeed." And he goes, you know what? This interview's over." And then they go to the ring. And Funaki just watches them leave, a big shitty grin on his face. So yeah, I finally decided it's time to get different backstage interviewers for every show. Raw has Kathy Kelly. SmackDown has Kayla. Heat has Alicia too, and Velocity has the number one interviewer in the business, Shoichi Funaki. And we then cut to the ring for Zachary Ben-Shahar's match against Evan Bourne. That's it. And he's got the match won. We're on the Titantron. We see their locker room, and we hear a commotion from behind the door. And then the door opens, and we see Ari Sterling and the Booty Twins, and they go, "Arg! That landlubber Zachary, after what he did to that lassie last week, leaves his locker room unattended. Perfect for harboring booty, don't you say? Arg, look at all this loot." And then, obviously, Zachary Ben-Shahar's watching on, kind of pissed off that he's had his locker room looted. And then Evan Bourne takes him down, hits the airborne, 1, 2, 3. 65 for Zachary, 63 for Evan Bourne. So we're actually kind of getting stories on Velocity now. I kind of like it now. It's fun. Now Heat just needs to catch up. But the main event is Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish against Wes Lee, Leslie Young, and Tristan Ellison. Winning team will face Timothy Thatcher, Drew Gulak, and Oney Lorcan at High Voltage for the Cruiserweight Trios champions. And in 81, that team will be undisputed because of some Nice business shenanigans. Because don't forget, Wes Lee's defending the belt against Dominic on next week's Velocity. But their distraction for Wes Lee allows Roddy to pin Leslie Young with a double knee gutbuster to punch their ticket to the final. 65 for Tristan, 64 for Leslie, 82 for Wes Lee, 63 for Bobby Fish, 90 for Kyle O'Reilly, and a 79 for Roderick Strong. Setting up what is sure to be a banger final next week, as the UE, well, the 3/4 of the group formerly known as the Undisputed Era, you could call them, against Timothy Thatcher, Oney Lorcan, and Drew Gulak. But for now, Velocity gets a 76. That's really good for Velocity standards. What matters more than that is what you thought of the show, and mainly of SmackDown. So do let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for Raw, which will be their Christmas special episode of Raw. Don't forget, Joe Gizzle and the boys in Titus World Records will probably be doing Christmas carols and some shit. See you then. If that's not a selling line, I don't know what is.